Hello. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to Inside the OPEX Method Week 7 recap. How are you doing, Carl?
I am doing great. How are you, Candace?
I am also doing great. Full belly still from yesterday, eating all of the yummy Thanksgiving food. And I think it's was maybe just serendipitous timing that you made this week all around lifestyle and the lifestyle nutrition aspect of the OPEX
Yeah,
method
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's Thanksgiving and everyone was eating and probably needed to be a little bit more mindful of daily movement and daily habits to keep on track.
Yeah, we planned that. That was reverse engineered a long time ago. Where like this week needs to be on Thanksgiving. Oh, good. I
So
know
we
I know I told you this before we jumped on, but had Thanksgiving with James and the Fitzgeralds, and he always tells me to tell everyone hi. So any of you OPEX OGs that are listening in, James says hello to you.
and James with hair. You got to clarify that.
James with hair, yeah, longer hair than me. I see James and I'm like, dude, why did you ever buzz your head? Like, you have great hair. Yeah, he has great hair, great hairline. Like, yeah, good. I was like, bro, you can't be shaving that off. So I think he's gonna keep it.
Was it just about simplicity in his like morning routine? Was that the
Yeah,
reason?
yeah. You know, James, he's like, no, if it takes any time or if I have to go get a haircut, I'm just gonna wake up on a Sunday and take 5 minutes to buzz it down. So now he has a little more time on his hands, so he's just letting it grow.
Got to put that pomade in. Take a few
Yeah,
minutes. Well, awesome. Okay, so this week, the 40 coaches inside the OPEX method in this cohort of week 7, they transitioned from the exercise component of program design to what separates OPEX coaches from a lot of coaches in the market, that we are behavior and lifestyle first in nature. And so you got to lecture on Tuesday about the OPEX BLGs, or what we call BLGs, our basic lifestyle guidelines, and give them a framework around lifestyle behaviors that we think set the tone or the foundation for all clients kind of working with an OPEX coach. And you introduced that framework to them. We did not have labs on Thursday because of the holidays. We had labs today, and you
Mhm.
provided an avatar that all of the students worked through to go ahead and start prescribing some OPEX BLGs in the form of daily habits to those coaches. And we also didn't have office hours today because of the holiday. So a little bit of a
Yep.
condensed week. But I think if you can bring yourself back to Tuesday when you did the lecture, what are some of the like big ideas that you think are important for anyone to know when it comes to coaching lifestyle?
Yeah. Gosh, Tuesday seems like so long ago. Yeah, so on Tuesday we kicked that call off, just kind of orientating people's brains around like what are we talking about and why do we think this is so important? Because we had just gone through like the ringer in terms of program design, right? So we just fire hose so many things out to the coaches around resistance training and aerobic training and anaerobic training, and then putting that all together and long-term program design and blah, blah, blah. And then we had to like kind of shift focus a little bit. And I was like, okay, the program design is there. Now let's talk about what is truly, we use this word foundational a lot, but it's truly foundational to allow someone to adapt to the program design that you're giving them. So, and that's lifestyle. So it's like what we're going to talk about today is actually the foundation in which people are going to see success in the things that you're doing with them inside of the gym. So just really wanted to set that foundation. So had some really good conversation around that to kick the call off. And we probably spent 10 or 15 minutes kind of talking about the importance of lifestyle. And then we actually got into what does that mean for us. So we broke down the 7 BLGs, and we talked about what does it actually look like tangibly to assess them, right? First, you have to understand them. So understand them, assess them, prioritize them, and then prescribe them. And then after you prescribe them, how do you get to a point where you no longer have to prescribe them? Because we kicked that call off talking about the differences between actions and habits, where it's like, these intentional actions that we're giving folks right now through these BLG prescriptions, we're doing them so that we never have to do them again, because we want to build really good lifestyle habits. So we talked about that when it got into prescription. So the 7 that we walked through were number 1, alignment. So alignment just meaning like you and your client are on the same page, you have the same North Star, and you guys are congruently moving to whatever that North Star is. And that, like, there's always a check back in on alignment. Like, coach client, are we aligned? Are we moving in the same direction? Because there's nothing worse than misalignment and different versions of success. So alignment's number 1. Okay. And this is more from a coaching lens, of course. Next, we talked about energy. So we talked about, how does someone feel on a day-to-day basis? And then tactically, we talked about not trying to prescribe someone to feel better, if that makes sense, but helping them create an environment so that they live truer or closer to their natural circadian rhythm, because we believe that folks are just going to naturally feel better on a day-to-day basis if they have consistency in what they're doing on a day-by-day basis. So we talked about alignment, we talked about energy, we talked about fuel. So the type of food you're eating, how much food you're eating, food hygiene, and are you hydrating adequately? Then we talked about movement outside of the gym, and then we talked about sunshine and actually getting out in nature and the benefits of that. We talked about sleep. What does it mean to get really good sleep, and how sleep is actually foundational to the BLGs. And then we talked about digestion as well. So it's like, you're eating really good food. Are you assimilating those foods properly? Are you actually, taking in all of those great micronutrients that you're getting through those foods appropriately? So we talked about those 7: alignment, energy, fuel, movement, sunshine, sleep, and digestion.
Yeah. Amazing. And
Yeah.
I know there was like a lot of like aha moments for for several of the coaches that were in there, just because I know we always talk about this, but it's like, it's so simple. And a lot of times coaches and clients want to overcomplicate the journey to achieving greater health or the performance results that they want. But when we come back to these basics, like you do such a great job in the lectures of helping them see how something that they might be discussing with a client that would be so complicated or far out there, what really matters, and how you bring it back to the basics and this foundation. So I don't know if that triggered anything for you to share about why these basics are so important.
Yes, basic, simple, but not easy for most people, right? I know that's something that I've learned over the years, just because, and I know you're not saying otherwise, but just because something is basic, just because something is simple, doesn't mean it's easy. Some of the hardest things that we can do in exercise and outside of exercise are the things that we know we ought to be doing, and are the simplest things to do, but they're not the easiest things to build as day by day habits. So that's why we really wanted to, like, shine a light on like the simplicity of these things. And it's like, like when I describe what a North Star or goal is for each one of these BLGs, no one disagreed. Everyone's like, yeah, of course. But now it's like, okay, now how do we get someone from not doing these things to doing these things? That's the difficult part. So that's where we're like, okay, we need to actually tangibly assess this. So that's what they did today in labs, right? That's like, build out your assessment mechanism in CoachRx. And you're literally taking people through a BLG assessment, just like you're taking them through a movement screen. And you're answering yes or no. And then we give them the quote unquote answers of like, what is yes and what is no. It's black and white: alignment, energy, fuel, movement, all the way down to digestion. And you just flip it. Are they there? Or are they not? And if you have 4 no's, they're not there. Now you have to prioritize those things. We talk about that lowest hanging fruit. Figure out the things that you can do that are going to have the greatest amount of impact. Figure out the things that you can do right now that your client is willing and able to do right now, and then attack that 1, maybe 2 things, but I'd prefer 1 at a time. And then you would be unbelievably surprised when your client starts to build these really good habits, and the downstream effect of even some of the other BLGs that were a priority, but you didn't directly touch. So very, very simple, but really challenging for a lot of individuals to really capture and build habits on some of these things.
Yeah. I mean, one of the really unique parts of this mentorship, again, is not only that the coaches are learning these principles or refining their understanding of these principles, but they're also, again, building out everything that they learn in CoachRx so that when they complete the mentorship, they're like ready to rock and their system is all set. So a lot of today's lab was around implementing this inside CoachRx, but for coaches who maybe aren't aware, that CoachRx has this capability for them to get in and design lifestyle programs in a unique way, because we've spent a lot of time refining the Lifestyle RX feature. Can you just share kind of an overview of what makes this feature unique and how helpful it is for coaches to have access to this?
Yeah, for sure. It's ever evolving, right? We've made some big iterations recently on how we've built it. But essentially what it looks like is we have two calendars. So, a lot of coaches are really used to having an exercise calendar. And we just had this idea of like, okay, coaches are so used to prioritizing exercise and exercise being the end all be all. Um, what if we started to treat lifestyle in a very similar way? So that's where the idea of like, hey, let's just flip that over and let's make a lifestyle design calendar so you can actually have, a holistic view of what your people are doing, what you're prescribing to them, so on and so forth. So we did that, and we've had that for a very long time. But in our latest iteration, we started to bring, because let me say this first, the issue that we saw with coaches prescribing lifestyle is it was a drag for clients to um, answer like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm missing the mark here, I'm doing well here. And it was almost just like too much of a drag, and it became an afterthought because coach and client are so focused on exercise, right? Like it's like I pull up Coach RX, I do my back squats, I put in my weight, that's all good. But then when I look at like lifestyle and I have to like answer a question around sleep or hydration or nutrition, it's just a drag to like go in my app and like plug this, that, and the other in. So we are like, okay, how do we make this more automated? So that's where we launched that wearables integration. And the only reason we really did that was to decrease the lift on a client side to be able to answer lifestyle prescriptions. So now a coach can go in and they can say, hey, if I'm coaching you, it's like, Candace, I really need you to sleep 7 hours per night, right? So I would assign that to you. Let's say that you're wearing like an Aura ring or something like that. You connect your Aura ring, and I'm just going to get compliance rates that are just going to come through the app automatically because you're connected to that Aura ring. And then I'm looking on my side as a coach, and I'm seeing compliance rate, I'm seeing sleep cycles, I'm seeing all the information that I would want to see that would be helpful to me. So, we have that for nutrition, and we have that for sleep, like I talked about, movement, activity time, steps, whatever, you pretty much anything you can think of that a wearable would track. So we injected that, and that's been unbelievably helpful in terms of, number one, coaches that feel good about prescribing lifestyle, and number two, the insights that they're seeing from their clients and what their clients are actually doing in their day to day. So there's that, and then there's a lot of features that came off of that, like health trends and insights and all of that. But it was all meant to just really make this lifestyle prescription thing easier. So we'll continue to iterate on that, but I'm really excited about that feature and the team being able to get that in. And we're just seeing a lot more coaches utilizing the lifestyle calendar and those features in Coach RX. So yeah, that's what we're doing in Coach RX.
And I know you got there, and I believe wholeheartedly that all the coaches going through the program understand now, especially the value of focusing on lifestyle and behavior first. And I believe they will prescribe. For coaches who maybe aren't quite there yet, at least now they also have the ability to hit the insights tab on a client profile if that client has connected, and to just be able to get a really good sense from a general perspective of like what's going on in this client's daily life, and maybe some information around certain factors that could be impacting performance in the gym, and is able to like use that information to have a better consultation or some better feedback for a client to ask better questions. So anything that you want to say there?
No, I think you hit that. I mean, context, right? Context is sometimes you can over context. I get that. But I don't think that there's a such thing as too much context at your fingertips when you're ready to go and look at it. So when we were like, okay, let's build these insights and trends calendar, trend screens and all of that, it was like, just how do we give coaches context that might help them when they might need it? And it's like, don't be neurotic. And it's like, I live on that trend screen and everything good or bad comes off of wearables being connected. That's not the point. It's like, it's a great, delightful moment when you have a consultation with a client, and you can be very proactive in that conversation and come in with priorities that your client didn't even know that you really had insights into, right? Where it's like, hey, Candace, the goal was 7 hours per night. I know we talked about that. You're at, 6 hours and 15 minutes. We got a ways to go. So I really want to position this conversation around how can we increase your total sleep time over the next month. And you're like, oh, I didn't even know how I was going to talk to you about I was struggling with my sleep. I didn't know that you were proactively looking at that and understanding that and creating priorities for me. So, you can create thousands of stories like that where that information and that context can be helpful. So, yeah, just give the coach as much context as we can. And the coach just has to discern and understand when they can pluck some of that context and use it in their own coaching practices.
Yeah. I know you're working with the coaches on, obviously there's a variety of tools they have access to within the platform to better arm themselves with information and better serve their clients. What is your take on, when something should be prescribed as a lifestyle element in the program for a client, and when that should potentially move and just maybe be something that's a pulse check in weekly check-ins or in consultations? Because obviously there's a way to do some of this monitoring in weekly check-ins as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, as you asked that question, Candace, like my gut was I was going to respond with like I'd err on the side of like let's get as much context as we can until and have like conversations around refinement before just going straight into like prescription one, prescription two. But I can't say that because sometimes when the 4-step process that we laid out on Tuesday, we called this the BLG coaching process. Number one, it was assess. Okay. Number two, it was identify. And identify, it's like, okay, I assess these BLGs. Now I need to identify what ones actually need focus, right? So it's like, I have 7 in front of me. There's like, 4 where I'm like, they're pretty good. There's 3 that are like, they're way off, right? So I'm like identifying those 3 that are like way off as needing focus. Then our next step would be to prioritize those. So I have 3 things that I could focus on. Let's say it's sleep, fueling, and sunshine, right? Now I need to prioritize what are the most important things that I can work on with this client. Now this is where individualization comes into play. I don't know, right? There's so many factors going on with that client. What are their goals? Where have they found success in the past? What motivates them? What are they excited to do today? What are they not excited to do today? What are their intentions, right? Like, why did they hire you as their coach? So there's so many questions where, I can't say like, well, you work on this thing because it's the highest priority, but you need to figure out what is most important. And then once you figure that out, then you figure out what a prescription is going to look like. Sometimes a prescription could be a conversation and hey, I want you to look at this and we're just going to kind of track this thing, or we're going to kind of keep our eyes on this thing over time. Or sometimes a prescription could be like, you need accountability, right? It's like, we need to build this habit into your day to day. And I think the best way to do that is to have you intentionally go in and do this thing every single day, right? Let's take, hydration, right? If the issue is hydration, sometimes telling someone like, well, kind of just like drink more water, like sometimes that doesn't help. It's like, okay, I need to give you a very specific prescription that I think is going to build in a habit of you drinking more water. Okay. I want you to carry this water bottle with you. This water bottle is 40 ounces. I need to finish 2 of those per day. Here's a strategy and how I believe you can finish 2 of those 40-ounce water bottles per day. Right. So you kind of give them like a roadmap. Right. And maybe in Coach RX, it's like a nightly check-in, right? Where it's like, did I actually drink 2 40-ounces? Right. And you don't need to do that for 12 weeks. Maybe it's 2 weeks. Maybe it's 4 weeks. You have to have the conversation with your client and decide what that is. But the goal and the intention there is at the end of that 2 or 4 weeks or however long it is, there's a conversation that's had. And it's like, do you need this anymore? Like, did it help to be hyper focused on this for the last couple of weeks? Do you feel like you're ready to pull away and just kind of like build these things and continue the habits that you've already built over the last few weeks? And if the answer is yes, then pull away that prescription and check back in next month, right? So you can kind of take that example and spread it across, all of these BLGs. Sometimes when we have like, when we have a hammer, everything's a nail, right? So it's like we have Coach RX and I can prescribe lifestyle. So I prescribe lifestyle to everyone. Maybe that's not the right answer for everyone. And again, to your point on like just tracking it over time and just seeing how things are moving, sometimes that's the best way to do it. So assess, identify, prioritize, and prescribe. But now you got to define what a prescription actually means.
Yeah. Super awesome. Thanks for getting tactical there. I think it's helpful when you get a specific example and then you can kind of visualize what that looks like across the others. But
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, so where are we going next week?
Next week is our bridge week to you. So next week we're talking the professional. So we're talking about yeah, business principles, right? Like, what does it mean to be a professional coach? What does it mean in terms of like, your vocation, of course, but also like your daily actions? What does it mean to set up a system as a professional coach? Those things. What does it mean to coach someone to be able to retain them as a client, right? Like, what does it mean to take care of the clients that you actually have so that you're not churning them out every 6 months and having to replace them, but you're like keeping them for like 36 months, right? That's a long time, right? But you're keeping clients for 36 months and you're getting some really, really good success with those individual clients. What does it mean to attract a new client, right? And we're not going to dig deep into like the marketing specifics next week because you're going to do that in weeks 9 to 10. But principally, what does it mean to attract clients? How many like what is your market versus the market size? And now we're starting to get into like individualized to the coach, right? Are they coaching online? Are they coaching online, but they're coaching like this local remote thing? Are they coaching in person, right? Like all of those things. So we're going to talk about market size and principles around attracting clients. And then we're going to talk about how do you actually measure success in your business from a metric standpoint? Like, what are some metrics that you might should look at as a coach if you're a business owner, as a business owner, and some of those things. So we're just going to go over some really general metrics and talk about best practices and tracking those on a month-to-month basis. Because unfortunately, most coaches, I don't know about this group, but most coaches aren't actually looking at metrics that are outside of 1RMs and 5K row times. They're not looking at like, revenues and, average ticket price and retention rates and understanding what all of those mean and understanding what levers they could pull to improve those metrics over time.
Yeah. Treating your practice like a business
Yep.
and taking that seriously. I love that. It's going to be an awesome. So 3 weeks left of this cohort. I can't believe how fast it feels like it has gone by. We have a lot happening in our OPEX and CoachRX ecosystem at the moment. So I just want to hit on that because in the next 3 weeks, as we're closing this cohort, we are very much prepping for the next group of coaches who are coming in for the first cohort of 2026, which will be officially starting on January 13th, but enrollment closes on the 9th for that. So, to get us kind of ready for that, on December 1st, which is coming up this Monday, we will be hosting a free masterclass. This is the second time we have gone through this masterclass, but Carl is very good at giving you guys a very different take or lens or more information on this topic. So the topic really introduces coaches to the OPEX method and the 4 primary pillars that we teach. So you join the masterclass, you're going to get a ton of free value and education around how to improve your coaching systems holistically. But you'll also get a little bit more detailed insider perspective on how deep we're going to go inside the mentorship. So if there is any interest at all in participating in the next cohort, I highly, highly encourage you to register for that. You can just go to opexfit.com and you'll see the free masterclass link in that top navigation. You can register there. So that's number 1. Number 2 is also another free learning opportunity that we have for you coming up next Wednesday, which is December 3rd, I believe.
Yep.
And that is our regular monthly coaching community call where really anyone, if you're an OPEX coach, if you use CoachRX, or you just like hang out with us in our free content, can join and jump in there. And that's going to be a special presentation because we're going to also be focused on our BLGs, our Lifestyle RX feature. But in addition to that, we're going to be highlighting a new partnership that we have going on with Chronometer. Chronometer. How do you say it? I always say chronometer, and I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
Chronometer.
Chronometer. Okay.
Yeah. Chronometer.
And then we will be highlighting that new partnership and talking about the integration that we have with Chronometer for those people who want to coach nutrition at a more detailed level. So be sure to join that. Registration is on the CoachRx website, also linked in our bio on IG. And lastly, it is Black Friday. Today is like the official day. We have Black Friday deals that are extended all the way through next Friday, December 5th. And that is the early registration pricing on the OPEX method, which is 20% off full price. So you have access to that until December 5th if you are interested. You also have 50% off LearnerX, which we don't talk about a lot publicly, but is an amazing resource for coaches. It is essentially Netflix for coaches. 105 and growing courses that are in there now. A place that you can just log into and literally search any coaching topic that you have in mind, and there is definitely something there for you. And there's also, you can try a free account to just kind of get a sense of what kind of content is in there. So check that out. And then we also have 30% off CoachRx. So if you're ready to get started inside of CoachRx, 30% off your first 3 months. Or if you're a current subscriber, we have 30% off our annual deals if you want to take advantage of that. So lots happening, exciting couple of weeks here. And yeah, we're just hyped to close the year really strong with coaches and then enter 2026 with a solid game plan.
That's right. That's right. What Candace says.
That was a mouthful. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week for an inside look at week 7 of the OPEX method. We'll be back next week. Check out the blogs, check out David's journey going along inside the OPEX method as well from a coach's perspective, and holler at us with any questions. Don't forget about Monday, free masterclass, Wednesday, community call, and Black Friday deals closing next Friday.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.